Hello guys and welcome into another of these M+ videos. Today we're gonna be covering a video I've done quite a while back, so forgive me if, you know, I don't really remember what happens in this key that well. I did rewatch it to kind of like, you know, remind myself a little bit, but not the whole key, so we're gonna be improvising a little bit. And also another disclaimer. Oh god, I'm really not making this video sound promising, am I? Another disclaimer, this season I've decided to stick with Disc Priest way more than previous one. Last season I played Holy Paladin at the end because it was meta and basically people were kinda like asking for either Paladin or nothing else. This patch I feel like there's way more viable healers out there, so, like we have both Shamis and Mistweavers, and some people even like Resto Druids. I feel like it's just way more balanced in general, so I just decided to stick with Disc Priest. I wanted like one main that I'm kind of gonna try to push for the rankings and stuff. But I haven't really been playing that much on Disc as well lately. I've been kind of focusing on like progression with the raid, which I have also finished. Like since I joined the new guild, I have killed Sylvanas. I do not have the video at the moment, but because I didn't record, I actually didn't expect us to kill it that fast, so I just wasn't recording. I'll try to get the video for you guys when I'm put on the Sylvanas roster next time, which I'm not sure if it's gonna be next week or week after that or whatever. We'll see. But either way, I am 10 out of 10 at the moment, so there will be Sylvanas video upcoming. I'm not that familiar with that fight yet, like I killed it on a 5th pull, so yeah, it's probably not ready to make the proper commentary anyway. It was kind of easy, honestly, because rest of the guys knew what to do already, so I just kind of, you know, my job was to not screw up so badly that, you know, things go south, basically, and that's what I did, I guess. Either way, let's kind of try to stay focused on what's happening here. So as I said, like this video is gonna be a little bit rusty on the commentary. It's been a while since I've done these, so I do apologize for that, guys. I know some people have really enjoyed the videos, and I really appreciate all the positive comments and feedback and everything. And I will upload more. I have also promised you guys, and I will do this. I have promised I will do in-depth, as much as I can, an in-depth Discipline Priest guide incoming, hopefully by the end of this month. If I can squeeze in some free time to do that, I will definitely. It's been a project that I wanted to start for a very long time, and I have started it theoretically, like I'm preparing information and stuff, but I haven't really moved forward in regards of actually making the content, because you know I do have to record a bunch of things and I want to make it look nice and stuff, you know. I'm not just gonna do like a detailed video and then not put in the proper amount of effort, you know. So it's gonna take a bit, but I promise you guys it's gonna be good when it comes. And if you're a new player or experienced player, I'm sure there will be something interesting and something useful at least for you to hear. But either way, this key, let's focus up a bit on it, because these packs are a bit tricky sometimes. So here you can you need to watch for the root, I forgot what it's called, sorry guys, you guys know, if yeah, Gripping Infection, right? So Gripping Infection, you can just kind of deal with that with Hand of Freedom. Do not waste your dispel on that, because there is things to dispel here. It's very important to get the dispels off from the dots and stuff, so just something to keep in mind, like, yeah, just something to keep in mind, basically. Here, dodging the Plague Rocks frontal is also kind of important. Deals damage, especially on Fortified, quite a bit. And then on top of that, it can also push you into some other packs that you might not want to pull, so it is a bit risky. Let's just a bit of Affix discussion. So we have Tyrannical, Raging, Volcanic, Tormented here. I mean Tormented, of course. Tyrannical, there's not much to talk about there. You guys know how it all works. Raging Volcanic, I would say, wow, like in regards to our job, these two in particular do not increase what we have to do directly, one might think, but indirectly, I think it was best seen here, for example. Indirectly, Did you guys see how much damage people took? Now you might say that's because it's 20, so no, it's not. It's because it's 20, but it's also because it's raging. So when things are dying, if you have a lot of CC in your group and stuff like that, ask your people to keep CCs for when the mobs are dying, because that's when they're most dangerous. And if there is a priority mob that can kill you and stuff, I strongly suggest keeping CDs for him. Like if a mob does unavoidable AoE or single target damage and stuff like that, like I would rather have that mob CC'd towards its death when it's raging, or de-enrage him, of course, if you have, you know, classes that can de-enrage, which is on top of my head, I would say, what, like Hunter, Druid, Rogue, right? Maybe I missed somebody. If I missed somebody, let me know in comments. Always a fan of learning new things, but on top of my head, those are the ones that can de-enrage. There probably is some other utility from some other classes that I missed, but yeah. You can see here, this is why Holy Paladin is good, and this is why it's still relevant in my opinion. The damage is just insane. 10,000 is not even that good, and that's because I'm not a very experienced Paladin, plus I'm not using potions because I'm a cheapskate. Not actually, it's because I don't have a habit of using potions because I'm a Pepega, but you can easily do about 16 to 20-ish thousand on a single target. Is very possible for a Venthyr Holy Paladin, and that is just crazy. That's absolutely an insane, disgusting amount of damage. And with Lust, by the way, I should specify that's only possible with Lust as far as I'm aware. Actually, let me know, guys, I'm curious. Let me know if there's anybody who's playing Holy Paladin here, whether you're a seasoned player or still new to Holy Pala like I am. Just hit me up, tell me how much, what's the highest single target damage you've done with Bloodlust, but single target, don't tell me like some big Ardenwald pulls or something like that, just single target boss damage. What's the highest you went? I'm actually very curious, because I feel like the highest I went was about 16,000, 17,000, and that's because my Paladins, both this season and previous season, they were under geared, so I don't have Mythic, raid gear like I do on my Priest. My Priest is disgustingly geared, like it's actually super over geared, whereas this Paladin is not that geared. It's not badly geared either, it's just not very, like, over geared. And here things got super juicy, guys. Things got very exciting here, actually. So, like, we had a very nasty stomp, and I fell behind. I was also losing mana, and things got very, very exciting. However, this hammer here, I think, is clutch. Hammer really helped stabilize things, and I think the reason why this boss got scary is because this boss is kind of a joke if you have a lot of damage and if you do good with CCs. I'm not sure what we screwed up, but it seemed like I know these guys can do much better in damage wise, and I saw them, like, they were all about 10k. I know they can do much more, so I think it's, oh yeah, actually I know why. It's because we were still kind of practicing on the alts here. Here we had, like, everybody except the Hunter was actually on their alts, like all of us are on alts except the Hunter, so basically that's probably part of the reason, although that sounds like a lousy excuse. Like, I mean, if you make it to a 20, you don't get to make alt as an excuse, but that's the reality. We're still not super comfortable in these classes and stuff, so I think damage was a bit lackluster, so things got kind of hard. I also didn't play as good as I should have, maybe, or could have. And also one more thing, a lot of Paladin, in the previous patch, Paladin had a very predetermined build. Build was always the same. If you're playing Venthyr, you needed the Avengers thingy, the 3-minute cooldown from the talents, and you basically always went for the Crusader Strike, since it reduced the Holy Shocks and therefore giving you more damage. Now that got nerfed, a lot of people are going with the option Light's Hammer. And I like it. I actually really like that spell. I hated it on start. I was like, what is this garbage? Like, this isn't even that good. But no, it actually is pretty good, especially if you're tank and your team plays around it. It's a 1-minute cooldown that you can basically use it almost every single pack, and it's very good. Deals a lot of damage when you pop Wings and Potion, and in the Ashen Hollow you can do some insane burst, especially with Seraphine. However, the Seraphine is the tree that's mostly, like, discussable, whether, like, which talent you should go for. There's plenty of options. Seraphine, I think, is the most offensive one, but some people suggest that in certain keys and on certain affixes, this is not enough healing from Venthyr Paladins, so the Seraphine isn't an option. So you just gotta be careful there. Like, do what feels comfortable to you. Don't just blindly follow builds, because you don't know. Sometimes people take very like, because the way I check for builds, right? Like let me tell you what I do, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of you guys will recognize this because you've probably done exactly the same. So like I'll go on logs or Raider IO, right? IO, you get it. Raider IO. You guys know what I'm talking about. And I'll check the leaderboards and I'll look at like the best paladins, and I'll click on their builds and their items, and I'll just copy that, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I can do that. And then you realize that that guy's Holy Shock heals for like 20,000, whereas your heals for like 10,000. Then you realize that his team will take like 1/3 of the amount of damage that your team takes, because they're not as good as that, and stuff like that. So like if you're still, you know, in some like medium position, because let me tell you something, like 20s are a high key. Like some people will say, 20s, they're not that high, blah blah. I disagree. I think 20 is way above average player, way above what average player can do. And I'm not saying this to like, you know, to make myself seem better or something. Like that's you guys really know that I'm not about that life. Like I'm not. I actually am pretty humble. Like I think I'm barely good, and I kind of like try my best to improve. And I like what makes me a good player, in my opinion, is that I learn fast. That's what I got going for me. But besides that, I'm just as trash as everybody else, right? And what I noticed is some of these builds, they just don't work on your average keys, because they're made, for example, if you imagine if you clean the whole key by doing like 5 big pulls, suddenly it makes sense to have a 3 or 4 minute CDs rotation. But on the other hand, if you're pulling pack by pack by pack by pack by pack by pack, why would you have 3 minute CDs? That is atrocious. That you will hate your life and you will hate the build. Go for shorter CDs, make sure you maximize the damage, you know, and stuff like that. So like use your brain. I know it's not always easy to see what you're doing wrong and stuff, but I think you can definitely figure it out for yourself if you play enough. And I genuinely do believe that yes, is there optimal builds? Yes. But are those builds the only way to play the game? Absolutely not, guys. Absolutely not. You can do different builds and try them out, and if they work for you, don't be afraid to use them. You know what I mean? Like I've actually ran some different talents sometimes and stuff like that, and it worked for me. And then, at the worst case, and this is the worst case, is you will see why they're not a good option if you don't like them, at least, and then you will know, and that will give you bigger knowledge on how the game works and how your class works. And then maybe next patch or in 2 patches or next expansion, when that build goes good, at least you'll know why it's good, because you played it, you have experience with it. Now, of course, this is advice for somebody who really wants to get better and who's playing a lot. If you're not playing a lot, then you just want to copy a good build and kind of get it over with. But I'm assuming that people that are watching these videos and actually listening to my commentary kind of want to get better. And that is why I like to say, like, I'm not the best Holy Paladin. Things I'm doing are often... If you gave some things I'm doing, if you put this to a good Holy Paladin, they will say, what the hell were you doing here? Like, why are you casting Holy Light here? Why are you doing a Flash of Light here? Why are you dealing so little damage? Or why are you not stunning and stuff like so? Like, I definitely am aware that I have a lot of things to improve as a Holy Paladin, and that's just something I want you guys to be aware of. You know, don't look at this gameplay and think, okay, so this is optimal what Holy Paladin can do. No, it's very far from it, actually. It's very far from it, but it also, I think, is encouraging, because if you can see, like, maybe you can't time, I don't know, 14s, 15s, you're struggling to push past 15s or whatever, and you're watching this, and then you can see that even somebody who doesn't play that well, like, is still able to time these keys. So you do not need to be perfect to time 20s, not with the current gear at least. And now if you're lacking gear, of course the more gear you lack, the more skill you'll need, and the better party you'll need and stuff like that. And there's just a lot of ways to optimize these dungeons, and oftentimes between like very high keys and just high keys, the difference is in like pull optimization, CD usage, and maybe sometimes build, in my opinion, of course. And here, I mean, one mistake I did here, like I do not have a whole, I don't think I have a beacon on my tank at the moment. Like I'm pretty sure I'm not beaconing him at all, so just losing a lot of healing there. I wonder when I'll remember to beacon him. I hope soon, because I think when he died I just forgot to re-beacon him. Unless I'm seeing wrong, I don't see a beacon on him. I'm looking, is he beaconed? Is he beaconed? I'm not sure, I'm really not sure. I don't think he is. But yeah, this is why, like, this just goes to show that I'm not a main, like, main Paladin player. Like, honestly, if you're main Holy Pala, you probably should have weak aura that reminds you to always use Devo aura, because you wanna switch when you guys are mounting up. You wanna switch to Crusader aura, so you just need a weak aura to remind you to always put it back on Devo aura, like Devotion aura. And also you wanna have a weak aura that kind of reminds you about the fact that you have a stun, that you might have Light's Hammering coming, or wings. Because not using wings is really bad, because you can desync them from your Ashen Hollows, so it's just atrocious in general. And here I didn't forget to use it, I just think I didn't want to use it for this. And then on top of that, you need a weak aura to kind of remind you to put your beacons on, and just stuff like that, you know, just a lot of things to remind you about your class, and to kind of, I don't know, I used to think like this. I used to think, oh, who needs weak auras? You're just a bad player, like you're using weak auras because you don't know your class, so you just need all these reminders and stuff. But that's not true, because the weak auras are there to do the dirty work. They're there to remind you of the things that you should not be thinking about. Like, I don't need to think about whether I beacon somebody, because I should always hit beacon unless something goes wrong. So like if I res the tank and maybe I'm thinking about what I did wrong or something like that, I don't need to remember to re-beacon the tank. Like I can just get a weak aura that does it for me. I don't know, it's depends how you feel about the game. Like obviously some people don't like weak aura, some people do. Some people get weak aura for literally everything. Some people have like 2-3 weak auras. It all depends. Like, once again, there's no optimal way to play the game. There's no optimal UI. It's all a matter of preference. And the proof of that, now somebody will be like, "Oh, that's wrong. There's definitely." Yeah, okay, that's your opinion, and okay, I respect it. But to me, when I watch like World's First Race and stuff in the raid, I've seen so many different healers with so many different UIs, and they're all on the top level. And they all do similar numbers. So to me, that just kind of goes to show that UI is mostly a preference. Like whatever feels most comfortable for your eyes and whatever feels most comfortable for your playstyle will be the best UI, and not what people say is good for you. And I think the faster you realize that and faster you accept that, the faster you can kind of get better as a player. Because a lot of players, I think, are sometimes like they're playing bad, and then they will blame their gear, they will blame their UI, they will blame a lot of things. And yes, sometimes UI is a problem for a lot of people. I can agree with that, but I think for your average player, UI isn't the reason why you're not doing as good as you perhaps feel like you should. It's probably because you're just misunderstanding things, or maybe you don't have a good maybe it's your teammates as well. Maybe it's like, I remember at start, like, people were blaming me all the time, and yes, I wasn't playing perfect, but then later I realized it's those people that were flaming me and stuff, they actually weren't that good themselves. Like, I will check that, like, this is funny, but if you do like a 15, 16, 17 compared to 20, 21, 22, you actually need more healing on lower keys, and I always found that strange. But then I realized that's just because the players are worse at dodging damage and interrupting. Like, they just don't know how to interrupt and CC and stuff, so they will take a gigaton of damage from everything, and then it's like, healer, why you no heal? And you're like, okay, I mean, I'm trying, you know, like, it's I just can't. It's you can't just take all the damage and not do any mechanic and then die and say healer question mark. Like, it doesn't work that way. Or my personal favorite is when I'm on a slow ass priest and I play with a demon hunter, and the demon hunter is just like double jumping, and he pulls and dies, and I'm not even close, and he's like, healer, question mark, and I'm like, bro, like, you were literally not even in the range, or you were like exciting me or something. It's like, what do you want me to do? Like, don't pull without knowing where your healer is, and don't pull if you can't survive, you know, like, it's just things like that. So like, it's also important to understand why you're, like, if you're struggling, why you're struggling, and things like that. It's just a lot of, like, this game is complex. It's simple, but it's also complex, and you just need a lot of experience and gameplay to understand what's going wrong and what's going right and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe somebody found it weird that I Ashen Hollow there, but the reason is I wanted my Ashen Hollow to be back for the boss, so I just Ashen Hollowed as soon as it was up, basically. That was a weird and bad Ashen Hollow. Like, ideally I would prefer to Ashen Hollow here, and then we get another pull on top of that, or in the middle, but I just kind of wanted to use it ASAP to have it back. And then I'll have wings for these difficult packs down below, and then I'll probably, if I'm not mistaken, I will probably save the Ashen Hollow for the boss. Because this boss needs to die fast, so Ashen Hollow is obviously mandatory for that, so we can help with the burst and help us with the healing and stuff. Although this boss is not that difficult to heal for paladins, because you can dispel the poison that gets put on the tank, and that really makes your job a lot easier. But yeah, it's ultimately it's always good to have Ashen to just kind of cover things with passive healing and passive damage. It's on Tyrannical wicks, it's a non-brainer to use it on a boss, unless you're doing some Gigantos pull that absolutely require Ashen, and like your whole party is saving CDs for the boss itself. I think it's always the play. Okie dokie. There's quite a bit of work we can do here with utility. So obviously I'm not gonna talk about healings. You guys know how to HPS on Paladin. It's pretty simple. You know, Holy Shocks into Word of Glory, or wings if you need AoE healing and the group is stacked, and then, you know, the hammer, of course, and if all else fails, you can use Light of Martyr. Should use a Light of Martyr, of course, if needed, and which is, by the way, one of the reasons why I like double beacon build, which I have used from time to time. It's nice because Light of Martyr does deal a significant amount of damage, especially when you start spamming it, and then you might want to have a beacon on yourself that will heal you back up. Of course, Light of Martyr doesn't provide beacon healing, so keep that in mind, but you will be casting Holy Shock and Word of Glory anyway, despite spamming Light of Martyr, so you can just kind of get that passive healing from these sources, and that helps. Besides that, you can use stuns on what are they called? Those ambush spiders that cast stealthlings. Yeah, so you might want to get stealthlings interrupted. Yeah, brood ambusher. Yeah, that's what they're called. Yeah, so it's only stealthlings, nothing else. Web doesn't matter, nothing else matters. Defender of Many Eyes, when he does this shield, you can disorient him with your Shining Light or Shining Force or whatever it's called, and that way you can prevent him from channeling the shield, and that definitely helps. When the Brood Ambusher, because usually you don't want to interrupt the webbing, this enveloping web, you don't want to interrupt it, because while he's channeling it, he's not casting Stealthlings, so you're indirectly reducing the amount of interrupts you need to do. And because of that, you want to let it through, but if in case somebody needs to move, you can kind of freedom them, and they will not care about enveloping web. That's about it. That's a big amount of utility for a healer, I would say, to use. It's just a lot of nice things. If I missed some useful utility, hit me up, guys, in the comments. As always, always happy when people correct us. If I'm saying something wrong, do not hesitate to just drop a comment and be like, yo, dude, maybe you didn't say something correct here. Keep in mind, like, you guys might notice, the way I do commentary, I'm not a good YouTuber, I'm a live streamer, and because of that I'm not doing those YouTube comments where I just cut off every 10 seconds and like redo the commentary. I really feel uncomfortable doing that for some reason, and that's why I do like a live commentary on the gameplay, basically. So oftentimes I will sometimes like maybe lose the point I was trying to make from time to time, you know, like the ADHD kind of thing. or maybe I will forget something I was about to say and then like deviate, or maybe I will just say something wrong because it's live commentary, so I don't have a chance to correct myself if I miss it, and things like that. So if I say something wrong, or you might not understand something I'm saying, or you want to ask me a question that I started speaking about something but you have some other question, feel free to comment, guys. Really, I love comments. I'm very thankful when people leave positive or negative feedback. It means a lot to me, because that way I know what I'm doing wrong and I can work to fix it, because I do like making these YouTube videos, so of course I want them to be watchable and interesting for you guys. So yeah, if there's anything that you guys don't understand, or want to tell me that I'm doing wrong, or feel the need to like ask something or whatever it is, just hit me up. No hesitation. Just drop a comment. If you like the video, of course, like it. If you dislike it, then dislike it, but YouTube removed dislike number. But yeah, it's I'm not gonna go there. That's gonna cause like at least a half-an-hour rant. But yeah, basically just what I said. Drop a comment if you feel like it. That's about it. On this boss, just keep in mind there's a lot of healing needed to be done. Like, you gotta heal a lot here, but you also need to deal damage, because this boss kinda, it doesn't need to, but it's kinda nice when it dies fast, because you can get overwhelmed by the amount of like the abilities it starts casting and stuff. And here you can see here, like I should have bubbled there. I really didn't think I'll die, but I actually died. Like, I got shadow ambushed, and then I died due to the haste thingy, and I'm actually very surprised I died. Not gonna lie, guys, I'm very surprised I died. Hurt a lot.
Solitary prey.
Apparently, this time I bubbled and almost killed people because I bubbled a little bit too early. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. That is, that spell hurts on Tyrannical, and if you don't have Divine Shield,
Solitary prey.
the 45-second CD one, not the bubble, but the shield one. If you don't have it, you're gonna take a lot of damage. Even if you use it, it's not the biggest CD anyway, so like it will still hurt. So just be careful. Don't be hesitant like I was to use bubble, and don't be like, if you need an external from somebody, don't hesitate to call it out and stuff like that. Just be careful. Don't die like I did. If we didn't have a combat rest there, that would have been a very quick disaster, and probably a depleted key. And you don't want to deplete a key on Domino Venom Blade. On the Mami Venom Blade. Alright, Margrave's Tridama is probably one of the hardest bosses to heal, I would say, in all of the keys. On Tyrannical, just super difficult. There's not really like enough advices I can give here. What you need to do will probably depend on the composition. I will say this though, on Tyrannical, the boss fight should probably last 2.5 minutes, 3, sort of. And the main ability you want to look out for is basically Infectious Rain, right? And it's an ability that basically goes in four bursts. It will apply a debuff to everybody that deals damage over time. It increases with every stack, so basically you will have 1, 2, 3, 4. At 4, everybody will have 4 stacks and start taking like significant amount of damage. Since you have a dispel, and there are some other classes that can dispel themselves. I do not have like a comprehensive list of those classes, but maybe somebody knows, so they can put it in comments. But there are classes that can dispel themselves. So if you have that and you're communicating on Discord or whatever you're using, you just feel free to kind of like tell your guys to dispel whoever doesn't have a CD. So for example, let's look at our CDs now. Like Monk is full of CDs. Monk can basically live on their own if they're good. Hunter is he's in a very dangerous position, but he also has 2 good defensives. He has like Turtle and then that Ancestral Healing or whatever it's called. So Hunter should also be fine-ish on its own for 2, but other than that, he's probably the most vulnerable person in this group. You as a Paladin shouldn't die. You have your Bubble, you have Divine Protection, you have Self-Healing or even Beacon. You can, I think in this case it's actually kind of decent to beacon yourself if your tank is tanky and doesn't need super healing, so you can just beacon yourself and heal others. So basically just rotate immunities and CDs. And also if you have team CDs, so for example here we'll have like shaman healing, we'll have well, that's about it, but normally you will have something, right? You might have like a shout from your warrior, you might have, I don't know, vampiric brace from your priest, you might have ancestral guidance or whatever it's called from your shamans or whatever it is. Just make sure people use their defensives and stuff. And if you have a short defensive, like 1 or 2 minutes, make sure those are used on start so you can get another one. Also, the easiest acid rain is gonna be the second one, not the second one, like whether it's second or not depends on your damage. Because here we should have skipped this one, but we got it anyway. But luckily it was only one stack, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But what I wanted to say is basically make sure you're rotating those CDs, and in the phase 2 you should have a good time with CDs, because you will probably in most cases, oh wow, they both died here, I forgot this ever happened. That's impressive. But yeah, in that case you will have bloodlust, like most people bloodlust in the phase 2 of this boss. So after he submerges, when he emerges, that's considered phase 2. Even though it's same as phase 1, but you know, people call it phase 2 because it's you know, he goes down in 70% and then 40, I think 40 or 30, I'm not sure, but yeah, basically that's just something to keep in mind. And you know, you definitely can die if you're not careful, even with bloodlust, of course. But yeah, preferably you should be able to heal with the bloodlust without too much problems. It's still not gonna be easy, especially on Tyrannical, but just be careful. You can see here the amount of damage here was pretty insane. I was getting a bit unlucky with the crits and stuff, like no crits whatsoever and things like that. But yeah, sometimes a crit can save you on this boss. It's a very HPS demanding boss, and Holy Paladin, when it's Venthyr, it's not the biggest HPS machine. So any sort of help, well, this sounds funny, but any sort of like help helps, right? Any sort of heals will definitely help you. And here I'm pretty sure I wanted to lay on hands monk, but I just couldn't. And I'm not sure now if we're gonna wipe and go again, or if we, yeah, actually, so we're wiping and then we're going again. And hopefully this time the guys don't die to the tentacles. I'm not gonna spoil anything. Let's pretend we don't know if this key will get timed or not to make it more hype. No, but for real though, this is pretty unfortunate wipe. I'm actually not even like in theory, you might think to yourself like, yeah, but why can't you heal them? There's less people to heal now that they're dead. But the reality is, because we can't push the boss fast enough, we're getting more rains, and that's just making healing more difficult. Like every rain requires a CD, and eventually you will run out of CDs if you do not push it fast enough. And here, yeah, we have just running back, right? We're just running back. We're probably gonna buff up, heal up, whatever we need to do, and then we go. Don't forget, for you as a paladin, having food is pretty important. I don't think I'll have enough time to get food here, but gives us avoidance and speed. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. It's seems like insignificant, but it helps, especially on boss like this. Avoidance is big, because avoidance, for those that don't know, avoidance doesn't mean you have 3% chance to dodge damage. It just means that you, as far as I know at least, it's basically an AoE damage reduction. So it works only for the AoE abilities that, like, unavoidable AoE, right? And you just reduce the damage. It's like a raw damage reduction. It's pretty insane, actually, when you think about it. So yeah, once again, repeating what I said earlier, rotating CDs. I decided to be greedy on the first one and try to kind of like keep people alive without popping any CDs. Also, something to keep in mind this time is that we do not have Lust, and Lust usually carries healing in phase 2, so This is definitely gonna be a much harder job than in the previous one, but I know I can do it. It's just gonna be scary. I don't know if you heard that crack, guys, but that was my jaw. I think I just dislocated my jaw. Oh my god, that was so loud. I don't know if Mike picked it up or not. But yeah, so here I decided to drop an Ashen Hollow. I'm not really sure why I did that, to be completely honest with you guys. Like, I'm not really sure why I decided to, because my initial plan was to save Ashen Hollow for the last phase. But it's probably because of, we probably communicated like what we want to do, and I kind of wanted to help us push, because this is kind of the quote-unquote hardest phase to push, so like I just wanted to help with the damage and stuff. And yeah, I think we're at 40% he phases, or it's at 30. I guess we'll find out now, right? So it's not at 40, it's probably then on 30. So yeah, lots of healing, but we were fine here. And I think that Shaman was saving his healing burst for the last phase, so that's probably why I used Ashen there, because he like we communicated, so he probably told me that he will use it later. So I Ashened the second phase, and here you can see like what we have available. Not much, to be honest, but enough, because we'll have Seraphine, which is more offensive than defensive, but it's also defensive in a way. So we have Seraphine, which I just used, and we'll have Light's Hammer, which I'm also just using. Although I've used it too early, because if he spawned an ad on the other side now, we would have lost a lot of value. And I also have Aura Mastery, which I believe I'm saving for the next rain. Like I'm kind of like trying to be conservative with my CDs, because I know we'll have probably one more rain. And you saw there, like Hammer, while Seraphine, that it's a lot of healing, like it's actually pretty significant. And you can see that the Cheeser helped now, like the Shaman helped a lot with the healing. You can see his healing numbers go up by a lot during that rain, so that's kind of how you beat this boss. You kind of have to communicate with your teammates, and you just gotta... And here, like, everybody dies. That's hilarious. But either way, guys, I just wanted to say, don't worry, there'll be more videos in the future. I'm not abandoning World of Warcraft or anything. Like, I just took a little bit of a break. Now that there's a new patch, I'm gonna play more, and I'm probably gonna make that guide soon. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to comment, feel free to like, dislike, subscribe if you're feeling super duper crazy juiced up. And thank you for watching, guys. Really appreciate people clicking my videos. Much love, guys. See ya. See you on the next one.